Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Kantor from South Florida Intervention, and I'm here with my wonderful and beautiful co-hostess, the co-hostess with the mostest, Julie Silard Kantor, who is the founder of To Mentor, which is a leading leadership, mentoring and leadership. And go ahead, 2 seconds. Go.
We stand up corporate and association and organizational mentoring programs, which is really critical during COVID, that we set the stage for more human connection, and these one-on-one relationships are crucial.
So in terms of, how that would translate to people in the addiction space is that it's the same value of sponsorship. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, we go together. So thanks for joining me this morning.
Of course.
I like doing these videos with you. I think having somebody to bounce off of and talk to makes a really
I'm your sidekick.
They would call it the straight guy. You're the straight man.
Well, last time I checked, I wasn't, but okay, let's go with it. I'm your wife, so you're suffering.
in comedy terms,
I'm the straight man.
You're the serious person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll be very serious
the
now.
muse. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm very serious.
Yeah. So no, don't be too serious. So, I had a subject matter that's come up a couple of times yesterday that I discussed with other treatment centers and also some parents that reached out to me yesterday. And I think it's worth discussing. And I made this note, and I'm going to explain what I mean by it. The note is the most powerful tool in your arsenal is acceptance, right? And let me tell you what I mean by this. So, in an intervention, in a negotiation, if we're talking about business, you may not always have leverage to get people to do what you want or do what's best for them in terms of an intervention. But there's a lot of power that comes from, and I've said this before, sometimes the best thing you can do to help another person is to work on yourself. And that kind of dovetails with this and that. So what I mean by this is, we had a situation not too long ago where somebody was refusing to go to treatment. Ultimately, they did, but they were refusing to go to treatment. And they were very prideful and very headstrong. And so we'd come up with a strategy that was we're gonna sit back down with this person and we're gonna give them two options, an A and a B, right? And option A is go to treatment, and if you go to treatment, you successfully complete treatment and hit certain mile markers, like a certain amount of time sober, you go back to school, that the family would help this individual then, get into college, get an apartment if they want, to help them to develop and go further. Okay. But side B was acceptance. And here's what I mean by that. So the person said, no, I'm not going to do that, or refused to do that. Then we were going to say, well, here's what the family's come up with. When we were going to say, we honor your desire to be autonomous. We desire, as a young person, close to 18, we desire that we understand and honor that you may need to do things your way. You may.
So door A is, if this person went to treatment, there would be all these benefits,
right,
and rewards and positivity around it.
Well, I don't want to say cash and prizes, but I will say, there would be healthy interaction.
They get to stay in a good setup for life.
Right, they're being given a lot of gifts.
Right. Nice home, nice family, food on the table,
great treatment center, all the help. We're all here because we love you. But if they say, no, I'm not doing that, right, then we're going to give them what they want, and that is that autonomy. That is their, So then the answer. So side B is, if you decide you don't want what we're offering, we're inviting you to leave the home, to pack your bags and leave the home, and do it your way. We understand that you may need to do it your way. You may need to figure things out for yourself, and we're going to honor that. But the acceptance piece is on the side of the parent.
Yes.
So as a parent, you don't go from a family that's in crisis to I have full and complete acceptance that you may pack your bag and leave the home, right? And surrender complete control. You don't just get there overnight, or that's not just a one-day conversation. That is something that the family members, the parents mostly, or spouse, has to develop over time, right?
Yeah.
By going to Al-Anon, by working on their own recovery. Because in order for that to be, in order for acceptance to be the most powerful tool in your arsenal, in your arrow in your quiver, you must truly be able to sit in front of somebody and say, I'm good with what you choose to do. I'm at peace. And you can't just say that. You have to believe that, and you really have to be in that space. Because if you're bullshitting, they know it. And if you're bullshitting, they still have leverage over you. But when you really do get to the point where, the point of acceptance, say, Johnny or my husband or my wife or whomever, my parent is going to do whatever they want to do. And you know what? I'm good with God. I'm good with that. Yeah. I have acceptance.
I mean, I think what you're saying is, there's consequences for continuing to drink or take drugs, and it's at this point the family's blowing up.
Or
Probably in some level of crisis. They have an active addict who's choosing, if they choose not to get help, the family situation feels untenable.
Right. Could be a failure to launch, could be a mental health problem,
right.
could even be a physical health problem that they're refusing to address. But
You're basically saying that, I was reading Encouraged to Change about someone building up so many problems that it becomes an avalanche, and it often takes them down. And in a 12-step program, that's sort of hitting rock bottom. But a lot of times, if they have money, if they have comforts, they can keep doing their drugs or alcohol or whatever their destructive behavior is without fear of consequence. But at a certain point, that person has the disease of addiction, and if they are not willing to get help, it's like an avalanche that's going to take them down fast.
Right.
And I think what you're saying, and having been a family member with addiction, dealing with addiction, is you're making a choice, and the acceptance is, I'm not going to jump in with you and go down your avalanche. I'm not going to go down there. I'm going to offer you an escape hatch.
Yes.
I'm going to offer you a way out. But if you go down that avalanche, you're going to go down there. You want your independence, but you're going to likely go down. And I hope when you get down to the bottom that you then will choose treatment. You will choose life, not death.
Right.
And you'll choose sobriety and a beautiful future that you can have.
Right. And to you and I, that makes a lot of sense. But
right.
To somebody
very hard for families to understand that.
And for somebody who's in the throes of addiction, for all kinds of biological reasons, which we could go into at another time, that is hard to understand or hard to accept. But I find with families that it is so easy to unwittingly enable or co-sign somebody's mental health issues or addictions.
Right. You think that because that feels like what love is. If I just love you more, if I just was a better mother or father or sister or brother or parent, you would not be in this situation. It's easier to take the fault than realize you're dealing with addiction.
Right.
And I think that one thing in a book that I think you gave me called Addictive Thinking by Hazelton, one thing that was very compelling is that when the addict enters the body, or it was probably always there.
The disease.
When the disease enters the body.
Is activated.
Your loved one is fighting a war within themselves and with this disease, and they don't know how to get out of it.
Right.
And they are fighting really really hard, and they are ashamed, and they are distraught, but they can't win this battle inside themselves.
Yeah.
And they might accept that the addict has won.
Right. I spoke to a family last night, and I took pretty copious notes about what was going on with this person's history. And at the end of the call, I said, I look at all of this, and this person is really crying out for help. They're saying no. Yeah. Don't come any closer. I won't do it. they're putting out all the threats. I'll go live in my car. I'll commit suicide. All these things that we take seriously,
right,
but are common deflections and common defenses, right? So, but the whole idea that if I were a better parent or a better child or a better whatever, you would be happy, is the nucleus of the entire codependent relationship. I still am somehow, even though blaming myself, it's self-centeredness, and it is me controlling your behavior because of, and I find for myself the times that I do get wrapped around the axle. Is a client going to hire me? Is something going to go my way? And we say in the 12-step program, there's really two types of fear. I'm going to lose what I have, or I'm not going to get what I want. And ultimately the answer is, I don't have control over this. All I can do with a client is, I spend a lot of time on the phone with a client, as do you, giving them all the information they need. Whether they decide to go forward and hire us is a ball that's in their court. There's nothing, we can't control that. And there are dynamics at work in a family system that we don't even know about, right? There's intergenerational trauma. There's so many things at play there that are so beyond our control that it surrenders. So once we have acceptance, right? So I'm good whether the client hires me or not. I'm good whether my daughter goes to the college I want her to go to or not.
Acceptance.
Yeah, and most of the time I don't get what I want, but I get what I need. And at the end of the day, I'm okay. And I have 100% success rate in survival. I'm still here today, and you're still here today. So, final thought before we wrap this up, going on 12 minutes and 11 seconds.
Yeah, I would just say to families, there's 3 C's. You didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. And so understand that this is a time to get help.
Yeah.
This is a time not to isolate. Don't be ashamed. Almost every family has been touched somehow by addiction. Do not isolate. Get out there, get to Al-Anon meetings, get help.
Yeah.
And you all can have a great life, but start with yourself. Start with yourself, because you need help too.
Yeah, recovery is possible for anyone at any time.